Joining us now, Steve Wiseman, sports writer for the News and Observer, and again, Duke beat writer, kind enough to join us. How are you, sir?
Hey, Steve.
Hey, I'm doing well. Hope you guys are.
Well, we're doing well. You know, it's always fun covering long runs in the NCAA tournament. This Duke team, never a dull moment. What's it like covering the phenom of college basketball and the soon-to-be number one overall pick?
Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. Ever since he got here last summer, heck, ever since I remember when Duke lost to NC State in the Elite Eight last year. Within an hour, Cooper Flagg's name was trending on Twitter or X, whatever the heck it's called now. So
yeah.
That tells you the buildup that was already here, waiting for him to arrive, and then the whole season he's had and everything. So yeah, it's been something. And you know, we've been through it before. You know, I covered Zion Williamson at Duke, so this was similar, you know, the build-up. But Cooper's really answered every challenge that's been presented to him. Frankly, he's just an all-around great player, and he's going to have an incredible NBA career starting here in a few months.
What's his character like? Is he egotistical? Is he fun-loving? Like, just kind of take us in, give us a feel of who Cooper Flagg is. Yeah,
he's very businesslike. There's a humbleness to him, but it's not a lack of confidence. He is. He's got an edge to him when he has to have it. And I remember, you know, it took him a little bit to get into it, like, you know, get used to college basketball and everything. And I think it was early January. He had a series of he had a couple of highlight reel dunks against Pittsburgh that kind of went viral. And he had this, like, edge to him, a chip on his shoulder almost. And I remember writing, you know, I don't think you'd like Cooper when he's angry. I think he's angry. And it was like a different level of his play. So, yeah, he fits in really well with his teammates and all that. I mean, he's as happy as, you know, when somebody else scores as when he does, that kind of thing. And that's why he has so many assists. He just seems to be a pretty good. He's a really good fit, you know, for any team. It seems like. Well,
the element to this too is that I don't know, considering it, and, you know, Hans and I are knee deep in college football. We both do play-by-play and color for some local teams here. And so we're kind of used to the world of college football where guys will shut it down after a season and say, you know, I'm not going to participate in the bowl game because, you know, I'm going to get ready for the draft. I don't think it would have surprised anybody had Cooper Flagg, after that injury, said, you know what, it's been fun, but I'm going to focus on being the number one overall pick and making sure I'm as healthy as I possibly can be. Not only is he back for the tournament, but he's flourished in the tournament.
He has, and, you know, he really could have probably played in the ACC tournament. It's one of those things, you know, ankles can be that way. They look really, really bad when they happen, and then within 24 hours, it's like, oh, this isn't as bad at all, you know. And so it was more like the team and everybody saying, you know what, like, let's make sure he's really doing well. His gait is fine. He's not, you know, a favorite or anything like that. So they held him out. And then, yeah, I mean, like, he made it clear there's no doubt he's going to play, even in the 1-16 game when Duke played Mount St. Mary's. I mean, you talk about a game that they didn't need Cooper Flagg. Obviously, that's it, right? And he could have rested, and he was adamant, like, no, I'm good to go. I practiced once. I'm looking good. I'm going to play. And it's a little different. I mean, in this sport than some others, I guess. And obviously, there's not as much, you know, concern about injury in basketball as there is in football, right? I mean, it's two different sports, but it's just, it would be so unlike him to say, no, I don't want to worry about the team. I want to worry about my future. I mean, that's just not him.
You've covered basketball for a lot of years. Where does he fit into the Duke pantheon of great players?
Yeah, I mean, it's recency bias is a strong thing. Okay, but I admit that. But he's up there. You know, I've been on this beat 15 years, so he's up there at the top or near the top, and he's in the conversation with Zion Williamson. Obviously, if you just take out just what Zion did at Duke, I mean, his NBA career hasn't, because of injuries, hasn't gone as well as I think everybody hoped. But he was a phenom at Duke, and a highlight reel every night. And Cooper's right there, but Cooper does so many things on the court. You know, blocking shots, steals, assists. You know, he can – it's kind of like whatever Duke needs on that night, he provides it. And he has a sense about that. Like, sometimes he doesn't have to shoot as much. He can, you know, pick up 7 or 8 assists. Or he can have a night where he scores 30, like he did against Arizona in the Sweet 16. So that puts him up there really high. You know, Marvin Bagley averaged 21 and 11 his freshman year at Duke. That's pretty damn good. Jahlil Okafor was National Player of the Year, led Duke to a national championship. Kyrie Irving only played 11 games, but we saw how incredible he was. So that's the kind of talent we're talking about here, and Cooper's right up there.
How much credit for this run should John Shire get?
Oh, a ton, because they had to totally tear down the roster and rebuild it after losing in the Elite Eight last year to NC State. That was just a crushing defeat. And he only brought back Tyrese Proctor, was the only starter that came back, and then Caleb Foster, who was injured and didn't play in the NCAA tournament. He came back for his sophomore year. And he knew he had this great freshman class coming in, but he knew he had to go get some age and some physical bodies, basically. Sion James from Tulane is 6'6" and 225, looks like a linebacker out there. Mason Gillis played 5 years in the Purdue program, 4 years playing, was in the national championship last year. Brought him in as a transfer to add that voice to the locker room. Malik Brown from Syracuse. They had to tell some people off last year's team, there's not a place for you this year. There were guys going to the NBA like Filipowski and Jared McCain, but there are also guys that could have come back that ended up going to other places because Shire knew he had to rebuild his team and make it better to maximize Cooper Flagg's talents.
So as we kind of tighten things up here with NIL, we're even seeing some of the blue bloods in the past kind of drift backwards. What do you believe Duke is doing to stay up with the Joneses, to keep the best talent in this world of NIL that seems to be really leveling the playing ground for people to come in and be able to pay these athletes?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing they did was to hire a general manager named Rachel Baker. She had worked for Nike for several years. She was involved in the EYBL circuit, the summer league, and then had worked in the NBA office for a while. And that's one of the first things John did after he took over from Coach K, was he hired Rachel in June. And she was really kind of the first general manager that they had. And she kind of handles the transfer portal, the players' dealings with, commercials and agents and that stuff like that. She's the go-between, kind of lets John worry about basketball and all that. And she takes care of all this other stuff. And so she's a marketing, that's her background is marketing. And so that's made a huge difference. And Duke's got an incredible social media following. They can show people, if you come here, here's what your value will be because of our social media stuff. And then, the history of producing lottery picks in the last 15, 20 years is just off the charts. Nobody else is doing that. Kentucky would be close, I guess, under Cal, but Duke's really does it on a consistent basis. And so they can bring a player in and say, if you do this with us, and here's how we're going to coach you, and here's how we're going to play, here's how it translates to the NBA. And it's just a straight line, and it seems to work very well.
So talk about this matchup. How do you think this thing goes down coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, it's, again, these guys played last year in the Sweet 16, and Duke won by 3. Duke has almost a whole new team from last year, so I'm not sure how much of that carries over. Houston has a lot of guys back, so they know what Duke's about, although they don't know about these players. It's going to come down to Duke, I think, guarding the three-point line, and Houston's a very good three-point shooting team. They're an incredible defensive team, but so is Duke. And look at the rankings and KenPom and all that. They're both up in the top 5. I think Duke can score. I think they'll be able to get enough points with enough people they have. Knibble, Proctor, Flagg, they have enough guys that can do it. It's going to be if they can shut down, get enough stops on Houston, now let them get going crazy with three-point shooting, which can hurt people. And that's a big strength of Houston that a lot of people don't know about because they're known as such a great defensive team, but they're a really good three-point shooting team.
What's the level of distribution just with that university and its interest in basketball? Is it 70% basketball? Is it 80% basketball? Just the interest that's given to that team in a given calendar year of sports.
Yeah, I'd say it's 80. And football's, they're having a good little run here. When Mike Elko came in, led him to back-to-back bowl games, and then last year Manny Diaz replaced Elko after Elko went to Texas A&M, and Duke went 9-3 in the regular season and then lost a bowl game. But so 9-4, that's a great run for Duke football, incredible run for Duke football. And there's more interest in that now, and obviously because football's importance in the college sports landscape, it's going to get funding and everything. But when you talk about the passion of the fans and all that, nothing comes close to basketball because of their decades and decades of success.
Well, Steve, we appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy the Final Four coming up this weekend, and hopefully the lottery balls go the way of the Utah Jazz, so we can have a follow-up conversation about what Cooper Flagg will look like in a Jazz uniform.
That would be fun. I look forward to it.
Hey, before I let you go, does he seem like the kind of guy that cares about teams where he goes to and nightlife and all that other stuff? Is that something that the Jazz fans would need to be concerned about?
I don't think nightlife at all. And again, he's only 18 years old, so he just turned 18 in December. So it's a little early for that. But he seems focused on what he's doing. But he's a fun-loving kid, too. He's got a good family, and, they'll be coming with him some as well. So I don't think that would be a concern, though. Just knowing him and his family, I don't think so.
They're Celtic fans, though, right?
They are big-time Celtics fans. Yeah, okay. No question about that.
Well, maybe Danny Ainge can help out there a little bit, kind of soften the blow. All right. Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, take care.